Hi, welcome back to another episode in my kitchen. Today we're going to cook something amazing. We're going to cook tikka masala. I'm actually using corn instead of chicken, but you can obviously use chicken if you want. So we have some corn pieces here that have been marinated in yogurt, tandoori masala, ginger and garlic paste and lemon juice, and you don't need to marinate it that long because you're putting it into a spicy sauce. Okay, so that's enough for about 2 people here. Next to that we have a tablespoon of ginger and garlic paste. We're going to use a little bit of lime, a little bit of juice there. We're going to use 1 cinnamon stick. We've got some cream. We're not going to use all that. You'll see what we're going to do a little bit later with the cream. We just need a touch of cream. We have 2/3 of a can of Napolina tomatoes. I always use Napolina because they're so bright and excellent quality, and they've been blended very fine. Next to that we have some coriander. We have, I would say, a good heaped dessert spoon of coconut flour. Don't use desiccated coconut because it's very grainy and bitty. It's much better to use flour. It's finer and more palatable. We have some mix powder, freshly made mix powder. I'll put a link for the recipe up for that. We have some kasuri methi, which has been toasted slightly, about half a teaspoon, toasted slightly and scrunched up. We have some Kashmiri chili powder, which is mild. This is quite a mild dish. We have some salt. We have a little sprinkling of curry leaves there. They're dried, unfortunately. I always like to use fresh wherever I can. And as you have probably noticed, the corn pieces are not red. That's what you'd expect. You'd expect chicken or corn in tikka masala to be red and baked, but this is called Rogan Jot, and this will give the red colour miraculously, as you'll see in the video. Okay, and we also have some base gravy, and just in case I didn't mention it before, this has been baked in the oven on a very high heat until it starts to almost burn in places. You don't want to burn it, but see a little bit of blackening there. Okay, so let's get cooking. So in a pan we're going to put about 2 tablespoons of oil, and we're going to let that heat up. We can add the cinnamon right now. I'm just going to make sure that's hot. So where did chicken tikka masala originate? Some people claim it was the Moti Mahal restaurant in New Delhi in India, while more than likely it was in Edinburgh. So this is quite a borrowed recipe from India that's served in India, which is quite an amazing journey this dish has gone on, and it's one of the most popular curries in British Indian restaurants. So okay, we've got that sizzle on. Let's turn the heat up. So that cinnamon's just roasting. Now we're going to add our curry leaves. Okay, wait for it. Now the Rogan Jot. Right, okay, you're going to see, can you see the colour? Now this is all natural food colouring. I'm really against using any artificial food colouring. There are some alternatives, but that's going to give a rich red colour now. As you'll see that come out as that heats up. Should have had it on a higher heat to begin with. So let's add the ginger and garlic paste. Just sizzle that off for about 40 seconds. Let's try and break that a little bit to get some more colour out of it. But you'll see the colour coming out later. That'll carry on emitting that red colour. So that's nicely sizzled. Okay, and now we're going to add our tomatoes. Quite a lot of tomato there. We're going to reduce that to get the full flavour out of it, and we'll come back to that in a moment. So that's been on a vigorous heat. Well, it is now. I've changed the cooker because the tomatoes have quite a high water content. I just really wanted to get some heat. So I've used this cooker, which is a lot hotter than my cooker, as you can see. I've changed over to a camping cooker. So we've got that tomato reduced down, it's bubbling, the oil's starting to split, which is an indication that some of the moisture's gone. So now we're going to add our spices. Let's start with the Kashmiri chili powder, the pepper, the kasuri methi, the fenugreek leaf, the mix powder, and the salt. Just make sure we combine that. Okay, I'm going to let that cook in about another minute and we'll come back to that shortly. Okay, so those spices are well cooked in. The oil again is starting to split. The tomatoes have reduced quite drastically, which is great. So you get a nice thick sauce. Let's next add the coconut. And we're going to add just a dash of cream. Okay, that was probably about, I don't know, 2 tablespoons of cream. Let's mix all that in. Getting some really great flavours now. And once that's all mixed in, the Rojan Jot spice will be still emitting the red colour, which is quite a classic look to this dish. Okay, let's just bring that to a boil. Let's turn it all the way up. Okay, let's add our squeeze of lime. There's already some lime in the corn pieces, so just a little bit of lime just balances the spices out a little bit. And next we're going to add our corn pieces. I'm going to give that a stir. They're already pretty spicy from the marinating earlier. Let's just give that a stir in. We're going to bring that to the boil and we'll come back to that in a moment. So everything's starting to mix, we've got a lot of bubbling. I hope I mentioned it, but we're going to use some base gravy now. About 100 millilitres. We don't want so much base gravy. We're using quite a lot of tomatoes. We've got quite a good sauce at the moment. So let's give that a good stir. Almost ready. Nice and quick and simple, this recipe. So again, we're going to boil that now for about 1.5 minutes on a high heat. Then we're going to turn it down, and as we turn it down, the oil will split once again and it'll be ready for serving, and we'll come back to that shortly. So that's just how I want it. Let's serve. So this has a nice thick sauce. Let's get rid of that cinnamon and the Rojan Jot also. That's not edible, obviously. Okay, and the final touches. Let's put a little bit of, let's just blow some of that steam away. So let's put some of that cream on. Whoops, this isn't working, is it? So a little bit of cream to finish off. And finally, a little bit of coriander for garnish. So let's just zoom in on that. So there you have it. Restaurant style chicken, or in this case corn, tikka masala. Feel free to like and subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed the video.